Hey and welcome gurus to this lesson, Traffic Manager Concepts. I'm Chase, and in this lesson, we're going to learn everything we need to conceptually about Traffic Manager. And we're going to start off by describing what Traffic Manager is so that we understand what it is and why we might use it. We're then going to cover the components of Traffic Manager, and then we're going to take a look at Traffic Manager's architecture so that we can understand exactly what's going on under the hood, and then we'll wrap up this lesson with some key takeaways. So Azure Traffic Manager is a service that is designed for balancing traffic across regions. So it's a global load balancing solution, and it is a Layer 7 load balancing solution, much like Azure Front Door. The key difference here is that Azure Traffic Manager leverages DNS to facilitate that traffic distribution. So it's using DNS to be able to tell the client, hey, this is where we're going to distribute your traffic to, so that we can balance across multiple regions using that DNS. And it provides many different routing methods to be able to determine how we're going to balance traffic to those resources that we have as those backends for our traffic manager. And it supports several endpoint types, those that are in Azure, those that are on-prem, and nested endpoint types, which are essentially traffic managers within Traffic Manager. And it also leverages endpoint health monitoring like our other load balancing solutions, using a health probe that uses HTTPS to check on the health of those resources in our backend. So to break down the components of Traffic Manager, what we have is our front end. And this is the front end for our Traffic Manager profile, and it's a subdomain that is provided for us, such as x.trafficmanager.net. And then we can use a vanity domain or custom domain like pluralsight.com to be able to cover up that Azure Traffic Manager provided subdomain. And then we have our endpoints, and our endpoints can be multiple types of endpoints such as Azure endpoints, external endpoints on premise, and nested endpoints like a traffic manager behind another traffic manager. And then we have routing methods, and those are what's going to determine how we're going to route traffic to those endpoints, either in Azure, externally on-prem, using public IP or public DNS, or nested endpoints where we have Traffic Manager behind another Traffic Manager profile. Now at this point, as we've gone through multiple sections talking about load balancing solutions, you've probably noticed a common theme. We have our front end, and we have our back end, and then we have that component in the middle that connects that front end and that back end to route traffic. And so it's the same thing with Traffic Manager here. Now that we know what the components are, let's take a look at the architecture here. So inside of Azure, we would have our Traffic Manager profile. And this is going to be our global resource that we're using to distribute traffic across multiple regions. And we're using that Layer 7, but also DNS-based distribution. So our client might make a request for a specific domain. Maybe it's pluralsight.com, and that's going to get sent to a local DNS server. And this server is going to perform some recursive querying to figure out where this domain is hosted, and it's going to arrive at our traffic manager. And once it gets to the traffic manager, it's going to say, hey, I would like the public IP address of ps.com. And so then it's going to return that back to the local DNS server, and then the local DNS server is going to send that back to the client, and now the client's traffic is going to be redirected to connect directly to the solution itself, not via Traffic Manager. And again, in this solution where we're using Traffic Manager, we have a health probe that is performing that endpoint monitoring to determine if those endpoints behind Traffic Manager that are being used to service traffic are healthy and able to service that request. If not, they'll be marked as unhealthy. Is the same with other load balancing solutions. All right, gurus, now it's time to wrap up this lesson with the key takeaways here. So the main purpose of Traffic Manager is to provide that global Layer 7 DNS-based load balancing solution for our resources. And we can balance to Azure endpoints or on-premise endpoints and nested endpoints whenever we want to use multiple routing methods, which we're going to learn more about the routing methods here in the next lesson. Now, for the features of Traffic Manager, we have support for those custom domains or vanity domains. We also have that endpoint health monitoring via a health probe, And also we have the features of high availability and routing methods so that we can route traffic in specific ways such as performance-based or weighted or based on geography. And we're going to get more into that in a later lesson. All right, gurus, that is all my time for now. Thanks so much for joining me in this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.